Okay, so we've got a major story breaking right now, and it's coming out of Nigeria. It's all centered around a military strike that happened on Christmas Day. So let's jump right in and unpack what we know so far.
Like I said, this is all happening really fast. The details are literally just starting to come out, so let's try to piece together the absolute core of what was just announced.
So the main event, the big headline, is this. The U.S. military has reportedly conducted an aerial strike, and it happened on Christmas Day. Now, that is obviously a huge development, so let's really break this down piece by piece. Right, so a strike on a major holiday like Christmas, that immediately makes you ask, what's the context here? To even begin to understand why this might have happened, we have to get a handle on a key term used to describe the conflict that's been going on in that region.
And that term is sectarian violence. The source material we're looking at points out that for months now, Nigeria has been dealing with this. What is it? Well, it's basically conflict between different groups, often split along religious lines. And, crucially, it often involves terrorist organizations going after civilians. So that's the really important backdrop for this military action we're talking about.
Okay, so with that in mind, who was the actual target of this Christmas Day strike? All right, let's get into the core facts. Here's what we've got. The who is the United States military. The what is an aerial strike. The where is northwestern Nigeria. And the target? Well, the stated targets were elements of the terrorist group ISIS that are known to be operating in that area. These are the absolute basics laid out in that initial announcement.
But, a strike like this never happens in a vacuum. There's always an official reason given. So the big questions are, why now and why this specific target?
And the official justification we got was very specific. The announcement makes a direct line. It connects this military action to the fact that Christians in Nigeria were being targeted by ISIS. That was presented as the #1 reason, the main motivation for the strike. And it didn't stop there. The statement actually went a step further, basically issuing a warning that, hey, this might not be a one-time thing. It strongly suggests a policy of more strikes if that Christian population stays under threat. Okay. Now we get to what might be the most critical piece of the puzzle, especially in a breaking story like this one. And that is, where is this information actually coming from? And the answer, in this case, is really, really specific. Get this, the entire basis for this breaking news, everything we're talking about, comes from a single post made by the president on the social media site Truth Social. That's it.
Trump announcing that there has been a Christmas Day strike, an American strike in Nigeria, targeting ISIS elements there.
But of course, that's not where the story ends. As soon as that social media post went up, journalists started digging in. And as they began to cover it, they added some really crucial context that honestly paints a much bigger, more complicated picture of the violence in Nigeria. And this is where you start to see a key tension. Remember, the official reason given was all about protecting Christians. But reporters were really quick to point out that these exact same terrorist groups, they're also responsible for killing a lot of Muslims in Nigeria, too. And just to expand on that a little bit, the violence in this region is messy. It involves multiple groups, not just ISIS, but also Boko Haram. And the reporting makes it crystal clear. The victims of all this horrible violence, they're not just from one community. The victims include both Christian civilians and Muslim civilians. So, let's take a breath. What does all of this mean? Right here, right now. Where do we stand with all this information coming at us so fast?
Probably the single most important thing to remember is that this is just the beginning of the story. The announcement was made, sure, but official confirmations, more details, all of that is still to come. You could say we're looking at the first draft of history here.
And that leaves us with a really big question, one that's super relevant to how we get our news today. When a huge international event like this breaks first on a social media platform, what happens next? What's the process for actually verifying it, for getting the full context, for getting that official stamp of confirmation? It's definitely something to keep in mind as we all watch this story develop.